Welcome to another edition of Arrays of Living. And this edition, we have a guest with us. And I love my guest episodes. And today we are with Leif Meneke. And the topic we'll be speaking about is human optimization as a goal. So before we dive into the session, let me have Leif introduce himself. So, Leif, welcome to the show. And go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, everyone. This is Leif Meneke. I am a human optimization coach, a speaker, and I lead a group of health coaches. And I come out of the field of leadership development. I worked on leadership development on Wall Street. That was many moons ago.
Okay, so let's dive into the discussion. And I'm going to start with first thing, what is human optimization?
Sure. So human optimization is basically about optimizing this vehicle that we walk around in, right? So it's just about and optimization can sometimes, right? So there's the two words. Let's break it down, right? There's the two words. There's the human
Right.
and there's optimization. And what does it mean to be human? And that's such a big
I can't believe you went there. I was like, he's not going to do that. He
we
did.
could we could go all sorts of places.
Oh, yes.
What with that, one of the best definitions that I've heard for human comes from Alan Watts, and I'm totally paraphrasing here, but he says, to understand ourselves as human, we must understand ourselves in relationship to everything that is around us.
Yeah.
So in relationship to the planet,
Mhm.
primarily, right? Because humans, we need something to walk on, we need something
Yep.
to eat, we need something to house ourselves in. Um, and so that's the human part, right? Is that we are part of nature. We come from the planet. We come from the mother. Um, and optimization is a really it's a lovely word. I love the word optimization because
Same here.
it simply means, completely blanking on the actual definition, but it's like the most desirable version of something. That's to optimize. It's the most desirable version. So human optimization is simply to make the human being the most desirable version of that of the human.
Well, that's interesting because I was thinking, as an author, I'm very big on language and words and stuff. And when you said optimization, I actually was thinking as about making the whole human aspect of things efficient. So it's an efficient renditioning of the human experience. So it's interesting. I'm so glad I
Yeah,
asked the question because I came in,
yeah,
yeah, with a thing. But I love how you describe it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just telling you what I was kind of, expecting you to go, and you went to different space, and that's great. That makes for an
yes,
interesting podcast.
yes. And I like to steer people away from the notion of efficiency and away
Okay.
from the notion of being the best, because it's not about perfection.
No,
It's
no, no.
about it's
So
about the most desirable version of yourself.
no, no. So
And
I want to correct something. When I use
yes,
efficiency, I'm not thinking about the best. I'm not thinking about
yes,
perfection. I'm thinking about
yes,
truly making this coat that we wear, right,
yes,
run as efficiently as possible from all perspectives, whether it's holistic in how you live healthy wise, whether it's in how
yes,
you move, whether it's in,
yes,
it's about really
yes,
the way I look at it. I call my body a temple.
yes,
Now think about how you enter temples. Think about how you
yes.
deal with temples. There's a respectful
Mhm.
way. There's a, you don't let you can go in a temple. No temple I've gone in have I ever seen dust. Like, for
Yes.
example, right?
Uh-huh.
It's
Yes.
always cleaned. It's all there's people around always
Mhm.
dusted. There's a certain way temples are dealt with and respected and thought of.
Yes.
And that we, in the same way as the way I think of this cult that I'm in.
Yes.
So that's how I was using efficiency. So
Yes.
not for
And
perfection.
I love this notion of temple because when we look at so many of the world's religions and spiritual practices, so many of them speak about how to treat the body, right? That it's meant to be revered and it's meant to be treated as a temple. In
Yes.
Islam, right? The prophet, talks about how to eat and how to be in the world and how to care for this physical being. And I think that's such an important component of it. So
Absolutely. And then we use the language temple worship. So when you
mm,
look at that, it works really well in my
yeah.
mind with what I
Mhm.
understood, your bio and everything, what I understood you were aiming for into relation to the body. And I call it
Yes.
a cloak because I see myself as a spirit having a human experience in this coat, as
Yes.
opposed to be a human having a spirit. I actually see
Uh-huh.
myself as a spirit just evolving and having a human experience. So when you talk about human, I actually think experiential. I see
Yes.
humanity as being an experiential journey.
Yes. And my teacher, who is a Lakota elder and medicine man, says all the time, our purpose here is not to make ourselves more spiritual, it's to make ourselves more human. The
Yes,
spirit, we are spirit already. We
already.
don't need to be more spiritual. That time will come.
Exactly.
This
No,
period is about being
exactly right.
human.
So, what I try to teach is reverse that viewpoint because a lot of people are going through life saying, I'm a human having a spiritual
Mm,
experience. No, you're a spirit having that,
uh,
human experience and being experiential
yes.
and choosing to find your purpose. Like, I
Uh,
can talk on this for hours because, when we
yes, me
came into
too.
our body, when we chose our body, chose our families, all this sort of stuff, we came with gifts and we came with a purpose, except that one of the things that, call it sense of humor, a few months, they
Yes.
made sure we forgot what our purpose was. And the experience is
Yes.
to discover it
Yes.
using
Uh-huh.
all the gifts that they kept us with,
Yes. Uh-huh.
right? So when we
Yes.
start to think of life experience that way,
Mm.
it's like the word I've been using lately for 2023 is like wowsy, right? It's like mind
Uh-huh.
blowing. And it puts
Yes.
you in, it puts everything into perspective that you can kind of sit back and go, oh my God, now I know the decisions I need to make
Hmm.
because of
Hmm.
that awareness and realization. So tell me some more. One of the things that you also talk about that I want you to explain, you do an approach called whole human optimal.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yes. So basically, whole human optimal is a holistic philosophy and approach to human optimization. But whole is treating us as holistic because so often we break up parts of life, and right, we say this is segmented. My work life is different than my personal life is different than my family life. And the truth of the matter is it's all one, right?
Exactly.
Because we're all one
Yep.
and our experience is all one. And even though we may trade our work clothes for our relaxation clothes, for our spiritual practice clothes or whatever that we're going in, or our ceremonial clothes, right? We may shift these.
Mhm.
Our experience is one experience. And so whole human optimal, all I'm doing there is saying that we're looking at all of it, because what affects one area of your life affects the other area. um,
Absolutely.
and so my area of expertise and of focus and of interest and of research is around helping people perform optimally, to perform better in their lives, to have greater impact in the world, because we need conscious
Mm-hmm.
human beings to go out there and to do the good work that we need to do out there in the world. And so I want to help them perform better. And as I say, from the bedroom to the boardroom. And
Yeah.
so that includes all areas of life, right? And it
So
includes
how do
health
you
and work.
So how do you know how does someone know, especially someone listening to this, how do they know how optimized their human experiences? How do they know when they're
Mm.
whole? How do they know they're on the right path?
That is, ooh, that's a good, that's
I
that's a
always
deep
ask good
question.
questions.
That-
You're on with Jen. You obviously haven't listened to my
that's right.
podcast. I
That's
answer
right.
pretty damn deep questions.
Yeah. Wow. There's so many ways to go with that. Um, for me,
Hmm.
what I have more and more been coming into appreciation for is, my metrics are around joy. Am I experiencing moments of joy? And am I experiencing joy in the human condition? Right? Because joy is one of those feelings that we can hold
Hmm.
with all the other feelings and experiences, right? So we can experience joy in happiness, we can experience joy in sadness, we can experience joy in grief, we can experience joy in frustration, right? And
Hmm.
so for me, it is, am I in tune enough that I'm able to experience those moments of joy? Because not all I'm not always living in joy. More and more I do. So that's one metric I use.
Hmm.
The other metric I use has to do with surrendering to my experience, meaning that as events and situations and people show up in my life, how okay am I to just let what is be, right? To let what is happening be, and not resist. So it's like the metaphor of being able to lay back in the river and just allow the river to float rather than swimming, feel like I'm swimming upstream. What would you add? What let me ask you the question. Where what how are you finding you're on the right path, that you're optimized?
Oh, first of all, from my, I believe we all have a vibration. So I look
Yes.
at a number of things. I look at what I attract versus what I detract. So
Yeah.
the more I attract means my vibration is higher. When you're vibrating at a
Mm.
really higher level, you
Yes.
attract things. If you're vibrating
Yes.
at a low level, you actually detract. So I look at how things are working in my life in terms of attraction versus detraction, because I think that tells you a
Yes.
lot. I think a lot of times we get caught up in happy moments, which are not
Mm.
lasting. They come and you're happy for that time and then you crash.
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
how sustainable is that joy or happy state? That's another key part.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned,
Mhm.
I'm not happy all the time or I'm not joyful all of the time. But guess what? You can be joyful even in the
Yes.
in the the depths of despair, right?
Yes.
I know one
Yes.
one life I one life situation that I went through. I was like, I had a business had crashed deliberately done to me, and I
Mm.
and I was in despair, financially, everything, and yet it was one of the best holiday seasons I've ever had.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford anything, but it was one of the most joyful holiday seasons. So I know
Yeah.
for a fact that you can find that joy, you can find things in the midst
Yes.
of despair. When you and we
Yes.
know that. I've been to the Dominican Republic, and if you've been to any of these places that have um what we would call, oh my God, how are they living like this? Shanty towns and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Look around you and see the laughter, see the joy, see the.
Yes.
So it's not about, it's not about joyful moments. It's about contentment. I think what people say, I
Yes.
want happiness, what they really want is a contented state where they are
Yes.
now at a place where nothing rise, like nothing moves them. They're letting their internal divine actually
Yes.
guide them as opposed to them trying to tell the divine where they need to go. It never works.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
is how I look at, optimization, is that you've reached such a level of wisdom and such a level of growth that life can
Yes.
happen and you're not really moved, like you're not really, life isn't dictating your emotions, life isn't you can look at it and just go nod, and when you're in the on the
Yes.
ups of your life, you enjoy the pasture, you enjoy. When you're down, you walk and you're still enjoying, you're still loving what you're
Mhm.
doing, and you're now looking for the lessons,
Yes.
but you're riding it because you know it has a purpose, and you're looking for the
Mhm.
lessons as you go. So in the valleys, you're still
Yeah.
enjoying the pasture in a different way, and you're looking and going, what are the lessons that's hidden? It's like a little game of, uncover what's under the rock and stuff like that, but
Yes.
you're still in that very contented state.
I just, it's been a few months now, but back in October, I went through a dark night of the soul,
Hmm.
and spent a couple days on the ground. And I've learned in my practice, I'm on the ground, on the earth, mother, just take this,
Yeah.
take this from me, receive this. I know you can, and you can transmute it, just, take this. And as I was going through that, and as I was going through and just really challenging, so many things in my life,
Hmm.
I was also at the same time and the feeling of despair and some of those old stories of unworthiness were coming back up. As I was going through it, I was aware that this was happening for me.
Hmm.
And so at the same time that I was having that experience, I was also feeling great levels of trust
Yeah.
in in the universe to guide me through this, and also in myself to be able to navigate through this, and to just surrender. And
And I think one of the things that we have to also realize is that when we get into that get closer to that state of contentment and personal growth, we
mm,
actually also heal our bodies health wise, because
yes,
all the health
yes,
things that we experience is our bodies trying to get our attention, whether it's pain, whether it's can doesn't matter what it is, it's our wake up call to say something is off, right? Where
yes,
does your attention and focus need to be, or where does the
yes,
the divine need it to be that you're resisting? And once you clean up
yes,
all of that, your health, it's a you and there's miracles after miracles in the world where all of a sudden the health issues just go away, right? So when
yes,
we start to bring in that health discussion, and I have about 20 years of health care, when we start to bring in that health discussion, it really is trying to make people understand when they accept that journey they're supposed to be on and they really step on it, these things start to just go by the wayside. So,
and for me, I never, whenever somebody tells me they've, something has come up in their life, they've, delete, cancel, reject, but they have cancer, they have an illness or something, I never say I'm sorry. That's never. I said, oh, a new teacher has entered your life,
yes, exactly.
right?
Exactly.
That's and there's the opportunity is to treat this illness, this disease, this dis-ease, this injury, this accident as
Hmm.
a teacher. And what will your teacher teach you? And sometimes, when if we learn the lesson, yes, we put down the teacher and carry the teaching.
Exactly.
And
And what a lot of times they need to realize is that that is a last, Like that is one of the last resorts because their divine was talking to them the whole time. They've just been ignoring it. And then it gets really pissed, right? It gets really, and it infuses, and the body has to put that energy somewhere because it's all energy, right? And it puts it internally to the body. So they have to realize that. That's why I use the term, it's a wake-up call because you weren't listening, right?
100%.
So anytime people come to me and they say, I have pain, I said, what is it you're ignoring? What is it? What's going on in your life? I know instantly there's something going on because the pain is the body's way of saying to get attention. So we're going to have to wrap up, and I wrap up with with a rapid fire. So I'm going to throw you some words.
Okay, great.
Just quickly tell me, and then we'll do a wrap up. So the first word is Divintastical. What comes to mind?
Sorry, say that for me one more time.
Divintastical.
Divintastical.
Yes, it's my own word.
I have. That's why I had you repeat it. Divintastical.
What comes to mind?
It's like, it is like big, expressive. It's like the divine, spectacular event. Like
I love it.
Big stages and lights and concert stadiums.
I am creator of Divintastical living, and let me tell you, that's a beautiful description because that's what's in my head every time I say it.
Mindset, yes, so important. It all starts in the mind. And
what's the first word? Come rapid fire.
Oh, rapid fire. Sorry,
mindset.
Yes. Take control of it.
Gratitude.
Be in charge of it.
Gratitude.
Yes. Gratitude. The only vibration that is equal to and maybe even higher than love.
Oh, I love it. This one you're going to love. This wowsy.
Wowsy. 2023.
I love it. Life. I love it.
Life. Oh, live it. Just live it.
Purpose.
What you make it.
Yeah. And feedback.
Failure is feedback. Learn,
also, and this one is very specific to you, this word. So all my guests get one that's very specific to them. Catatonic.
Overwhelmed.
I love it. And on that note, we're going to wrap up. Now, Leif, is there anything you want the audience to know about yourself or that you have to say to the audience?
Sure. Just that, yes. Here's what I'd like to say. When you are out of alignment, everything is out of alignment, right? We are all one. Health is beyond the physical. It includes mental, emotional, environmental, spiritual, and physical. It's all one. There is no greater resource than your health. And when you come into alignment with nature, anything is possible. Those miracles happen every day when we come into alignment with the mother. And yes, and if I can heal, so can you. I know that. And if you'd like to reach out, I've got resources and lots of information on my website. I'm sure you can find it in the show notes. It's my first name plus my last name.com. And I'm happy to share with you what I have learned in my journey. I wish you the word it's wealth, but it's spelled WHEALTH.
Okay. Awesome. So thank you. On that note, we're going to wrap up. It was a pleasure having you. And as I always say to my audience, thank you so much from my heart to yours for listening. Thank you, Leif, for being with us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Jen. You have a beautiful day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of A Rays of Living. And please be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You will also find in the description below my email address should you want to reach out, and I am happy if you do. And just to be sure, it's jen@youareworthmore.co, and worth more you definitely are. And lastly, also see the link that will allow you to schedule a meet and greet with me. And that's an opportunity for me to meet you and you to meet me and for us to have a chat. And that would be wonderful and welcoming. So please hit the link and let's set up a meet and greet.